Let's say, hello, good morning, welcome. This is the discussion segment of Good Morning Anambra today, Thursday, the second day of the month of November. Wow, the 11th month for the 11th hour. Okay, thank you very much for joining us this morning. As you can see, I have gentlemen that have joined me to look at a very interesting topic we have raised for your viewing pleasure this morning. And the topic is preventing building and road failures in Anambra State, ensuring infrastructural sustainability in public amenities. Okay, I'm sure everyone is concerned on this. When it talks about road and when it talks about building, this is directly to individuals. So you join us as we look at that. Okay, the guest that has joined me are High Chief Alex Ifawazi, FNSC, Chairman, Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers, NICE, Oka Branch. He's also known as Ofuruma Nokbo.
Ofuruma Man.
Ofuruma Man Nokbo. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I also have Engineer Uche Dan Nze. Engineer Uche Dan Nze is a highway engineer. We welcome you to the studio, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, you have heard my intro that if you look at the state of our roads, not Anambra roads, the state of roads in Nigeria, because if you have traveled to Lagos recently or some parts of even eastern region, Enugu, Port Harcourt, or Onitsha, Owerri, and a whole lot of places, even Onitsha, Enugu, and a whole lot of places, you will know that I think we need to talk about what is happening to our roads, and then talk about building collapse, you know, structural defects here and there. And then you keep wondering, are these structures being done by human beings with conscience? That's why we are here to talk about it. Recently, was it, some time ago, there are some roads that people classified as one rainy season road. Okay, they just do the road this year. By the time it survives one rainy season, the road is washed away. Okay, so these are some of the things we're going to talk about today. By the way, my name is Ijoma Uche. Join us, please. Now, let me start with you, Chairman. You've heard my intro. How did we get here?
Ijoma, thanks so much.
Okay.
And for the good introduction. You introduced me very, very well. Okay? Yes. I'm a head chief of Wakendom, despite the fact that I'm a professional civil engineer. When you want to tell the story of Nigeria, because my state, my dear state, Anambra, is in Nigeria, one of the states of Nigeria. If you ask me per se, I would just say, I don't really know how we manage to find ourselves in this predicament. Because as far back as early 70s, I still remember, on quote, they said our past military president, head of state, go and say the problem of Nigeria is not what to do, is what to do with money. Meaning that, yes, meaning that the money is already there. And some of all these developing nations, they are using their money to develop their states, their countries everywhere, and we are now saying that our problem is not money, what to do with money. It seems, if you allow me to say, I would say the problem started far back as that. Because when you see what is happening now, nationally, you pity this our country, Nigeria. You have pity for us, because nothing is working. Therefore, where is the money that we say that our problem is not money, but what to do with money?
That was a long time, 1977.
Because of that particular...
Made that statement.
Yes, he made that statement because of we lacked foresight. Money is what money can do. Money is what you use money for. Assuming that we invested in infrastructural development in those days, because I'm a civil engineer, And definitely, we normally say that civil engineer will have, but that's our axim, okay? Sustaining the world's infrastructure.
Okay.
Does it mean in those days we don't have engineers? That can only bring them together. What are we going to do? We start from the word go to start developing. Because the problem you mentioned, roads, bad roads, building collapse, in fact, total collapse of infrastructural facilities. Now, where is the money? We are now borrowing up and down to sustain ourselves. So where is the money? You said something that happened early 70s, but where is it now? Because of lack of foresight. So I think if you allow me to say, I will say, yes, our problem will get ourselves because far back we lack foresight. But now is still the time. If we still to have that particular foresight from now, plan ahead, definitely we get ourselves to be corrected.
Okay, thank you very much. Nze, you are a highway engineer. Of course, I think I laid much emphasis on the state of our roads. Can you tell us how come that as rich as we are, and then with the enormous resources that is available for us to do good work, how come our roads don't last?
Yes. Major challenges that we always have with our road is on quality control. Most times, some contractors doesn't have the necessary facilities to be able to carry out the road. Let me say, the construction method they always use doesn't equate with the standard of road construction in Nigeria. Let me use RCC as an example. I was a consultant on this Onichenugwe Expressway for over 3 years.
We have seen who to hold responsible. Go ahead.
Then I supervised the contractor for 3 years. So I make sure that the material they use in the road was gotten from a very good borrowed pit, both the aggregate and the asphalt and everything they are using in the road. And I learned a lot of things from that RCC to compare with our local contractors. They do things based on quality. They make sure that the materials they use is being tested in the lab before it will be carried out on the road. Let's come in the sub-base level. Before you borrow material, you have to prepare the surface. Then you lay the borrowed material, you compact it. Then there's a test they carry out most times. They call it CBR test, California Bearing Ratio test. In that test, you determine the bearing capacity of the surface.
You say California?
Bearing capacity, yes, California Bearing Ratio test. So in that area, you'll be able to determine the density and degree of compaction of the surface. So those factors, most of our contractors doesn't have those things. Our local contractors doesn't have those things. So that's why in Anambra State, we have an issue of road failures most times because some of our local contractors does not carry out those tests. And they don't even borrow material from a very good borrow pit. Even the asphalt they are using, they don't even pass through the normal channel of testing the material to know whether the material passes its usage. So in the long run, once they do lay those materials, maybe after the rainy season, maybe after 1 year or maybe 2 years, the whole thing will phase out. Then we keep on spending money.
Is it that they don't know where to source for the real materials, or they don't know which is sweet, that there's a difference between this and that? What is the problem?
The major problem they have is the capacity. They don't have the capacity.
By capacity, you mean what? Money? Money available to them?
Not only money, they don't have the capacity.
The expertise.
The expertise to do the job. Because
so how can you give a contract to someone that doesn't know what he's doing?
Most times, some contractors, some local contractors doesn't have those expertise. They can be able to carry out the right thing to do for road construction. So that is why we are having all those challenges. That's why in Anambra State here as a whole. And let me use one example. Yesterday we went to NYSC at Umawola, and we have so many observations there. We observed that there was a road they did at NYSC. There was no drainage. So automatically, if you are doing a road without a drainage, the road will collapse because drainage Once rainfall, to go into the drainage and discharge. But if there's no discharge point, it will be seeping inside the asphalt.
Is there any way somebody can award the construction of a road and then minus drainages?
There was like, why should somebody do such thing without considering those factors?
Because I want to understand, because if it is part of the contract, if it's laid down in the contract, construction of drainages, this and that, and then after all this one, the contract is awarded, and you go and construct road for me, minusing some of the things that were supposed to be inclusive, and I will pay you, I will endorse it and pay you. Who are the supervisors?
I want to challenge is the scope.
It's what?
The scope.
Oh.
Maybe the scope, during the award of contract, they didn't put into consideration the drain.
The contractor.
Maybe from the bidding, the scope. Maybe they are looking at the fund available for the job. They now say, let's do the road, let's remove the drainage. Maybe with time, we will now do the drainage. Then in the long run, we find out that what we did is as good as
not doing the road at all. Not doing the road at all. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, we are still talking. We are coming back to you. How do we do it? How do we do it? You're a civil engineer. Let's also venture into constructions when it comes to buildings. Okay, these days you witness a lot of building collapse. How many have we seen this year? Okay, a lot of building collapses here and there. Okay, some in the west, some in the north, some in the east, some everywhere. So what is it? Is it the same problem of poor quality control?
Let me just digress a little from your question. Because if you go everywhere in Anambra State, people are not complaining of bad road, actually. And not that His Excellency, the professor, is not doing his possible best, because almost the whole roads in Anambra State are bad. So when you are walking here, people from that street will be complaining. Therefore, can you do, unless he's a magician, then everything will be in order to go. Actually, I was among the team that went to that NYC, and because the core members, I think they arrived yesterday. To get one or two things, especially our interest is to make sure that the 7 engineers among them are properly taken care of and put where they're supposed to be made proper use of. Because there's no need for you sending a civil engineer to go and teach in a primary school. When we have a lot of construction companies designing firms where they're supposed to go and then enhance their knowledge and contribute to. So that's what made us to go there, and then we observed during our technical visit some of these things you said. But they find that in road construction, yes, for you to envisage a road, what's supposed to come into your mind is that particular geotechnical. Anyway, let me just mention about 4 factors. Geotechnical is there, geological is there, okay, and then what do you call it?
The design.
The design is there, as rightly said, quality control, okay, and then the usage of that particular road. And then
all these are put into consideration.
Exactly.
Before the construction.
Most of our roads in Nigeria, Anambra in particular, fail because of lack of maintenance. Actually, I find out that we have 2 types of roads. Actually, have rigid pavement and then flexible. Okay, but I find out that when you talk about flexible pavement, let's say you must have finished your asphaltic, with your bitumen and asphaltic work has already been done. But there are a little crack on it. And once water permeates and the vehicle now pumps on it, the water is now pumped, there is a hole. And once water, because they can never, water and bitumen and asphalt, they are not friends. That particular hole will be there. And then
what could have caused the hole?
As I said earlier on, already the road work surface is already finished. But there may be, definitely now, there may be, just like you rightly said, yes, poor workmanship or this, there may be a very little...
Yes, why I ask that question is that because there's supposed to be a supervisor that is supervising this job. And when you notice there's a crack, you correct it immediately, knowing fully well what will be the outcome of this crack in the next 8 months. You understand? So that's why I say, where are the foremen? Where are the supervisors? Why would that allow such a crack to persist when you know that in future it's going to cause a bigger problem? Go ahead.
There are so many problems. There are, so, but probably if time will permit us, we can provide solution to some of them. Because let's say subgrade of a road is very poor. And then, as rightly said, you have poor design too, or inadequate design. Let me use that particular word. And then the contractor, in a bid to meet up the time, and they probably the supervising ministry or those engineers, they fail to stick to their duties. And then, if a vehicle plies on that particular because of the poor subgrade, definitely it's bound to depress, and water might trap on it. And if a vehicle plans of it, you pump, pumping now. It will just push it down, and from there you have a little crack, and you continue. Once the water permeates, both the sub-base, the finishing material before the wearing course, all of them have been affected. And once, if you fail to maintain it immediately, finish it up, water will enter there, start eating up all those the laterite and all those other subgrade, grade, and then sub-base materials. And before you know it, will be developing.
To building up to fair section.
Actually, any finished road, and if you don't monitor the moisture content, there's a problem there. Okay, that's why most of our people they are highly uninformed. When they see a little pothole on the road, they will go and get grass or just vegetable soil put on it. The water content is high, and it will now be eating more of it. Before you know it will develop into a devastating erosion site if you're along the road, if your care is not taken. Anyway, just like we're still coming there, as we said. Now, when you mention structural failure, that's another heavy problem. Let me just give you one instance. I think in Anambra State, within last month alone, or just within 3 months ago, there is one building, one high-rise building that collapsed in Orifite. That particular building, it was on the roofing stage. It just collapsed, submerged, and it has a basement, killing 2 persons were killed there.
Family member, father and the son.
No, the one they are talking about is just the one that happened recently at Newi.
Okay.
This one is at Orifite.
Really?
Yes, immediately the current regulators, because in engineering profession, well, maybe I will say explaining it how we normally work. You have Korean Council for Regulation of Engineering. Their work is to regulate the works of all those engineers. Okay, you have Nigerian Society of Engineers.
Do they work? Do they regulate? If you regulate and approve a building, a structure, and a force, what is your punishment? Because that's why we're still having these problems. Nobody punishes anybody for any wrongdoing. So the thing persists.
Part of why we're here is to make sure that we provide a solution. Let the authorities that are concerned know what is happening.
Well, you will prefer a solution to a problem that has been established. That's why we are here too. Okay? Let us establish this problem and then prefer a solution. Now, you understand what I mean?
Now, what you mentioned about Korean, remember, government has their own agencies. Like you have a board of fiscal planning board. You're supposed to know about that. Yes. That any structure, any building that take place, you submit to them, they will look at all of them, and then go to the site, do other things. They're even supposed to be monitoring the project as it's going on, because all those fees are being paid. Now we have a material testing lab. The work is to make sure that all the whole elements, structural elements, the material is supposed to be used are tested to make sure that they maintain the codes and the standard is there. You will not ask me now, if all these things are being done, now what caused the codes?
That's the question I asked you.
Toward the end of the program, you will see the solution we will have. Because
we don't have all day.
Everything entails corruption.
Okay, fine. Let's still delve into prevention. Now, engineers there. What do we do? What do we need to do as individuals, as two, a society, and 3, as government, to ensure that our roads and buildings are built according to specifications and that we prevent collapse?
Yes. Thank you so much. In construction per se, so many factors are involved. The site personnel, the client side, being the ministry or any person, are also people that need to be up and doing. They need to, ministry okay, let me say like Minister of Works. The engineers, most of Minister of Works engineers has experience in road construction. And most times, most cases, out of negligence, or maybe they are trying to kind of bulldoze the contractor for maybe for funds or whatever, or maybe they are looking for something from the contractor, or maybe the contractor have been compromised by the contractor. They will not be. Sometimes they won't put much interest to provide the contractor to make sure that they are doing the appropriate thing on the site. So,
compromise. The people that are being compromised, or whatever language that you guys use, are they not from the states?
No. Let me say they are.
Okay, go ahead.
So corruption. So this is part of corruption. So in this case now, most times once they are being compromised, once you compromise me on your side, I might be overlooking certain things to provide contractor. So the issue is this: if there is a street supervisors on site, making sure that the contractor is doing the right thing, is following specifications. If it's maybe sub-grade level, make sure that he has the materials passes its requirements before they use on the site.
Okay.
Then if it's concrete, they are supposed to have done the concrete test. Make sure that it passes its strength before usage. Then if there's any issue on the concrete, there's a need for trial test. Trial test to make sure that this concrete passes its test and time. Then in terms of asphalt also the same thing.
Is that what you call quality control?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it makes the road to last for a long time.
Okay.
So now, if the supervisory engineers, the contractor or the consultant are up and doing, I think our road we last for a long time.
Okay. Before we get to, Chairman, before we get to the prevention, for the solution, let's still look at what we need to do to prevent road and building failures.
Well, first of all, let there be a thorough design. You get a qualified engineer that is consigned to do the design, taking all the whole necessary factors, as I mentioned, in a particular site, maybe geotechnical factor, geological, and so on. Consider everything, the subgrade nature of the soil, because when you come to road now, don't be surprised. You may have a whole length of road, let's say about 5 kilometers. But every 500 meters, you have a different strata of the soil. But if you now take a sample here and now do the whole, that's why, let me say for instance now, there are some, very few, very few in Anambra, because Anambra, probably because of some of our soil texture. But if you're now traveling by road, especially Lokoja, Abuja road, you find out that some of the roads there will have a lot of rotting. So rotting is just probably have already finished the road and very quick is applying on it. You find out there are some depression. This one is up, so you will not even know. Yes, you find out that rotting revenue and so on and so forth. You find out that probably there may be some elements of water, permeating under the soil, the subgrade somewhere, but you don't even know. You have already taken a sample. You are using it to do a whole stretch design. When you come to, definitely it must fail.
And if you notice something like that, what are you expected to do?
Yeah. Okay, let me come in. When I was just on the Tinubu Expressway, I know Anambra Junction. That Anambra Junction going to Ugbo. We met underground water there. After we have dug about 1.5 meters down. So then we proposed some solution to the problem, that they should introduce what they call geotextiles. They will put it in by intervals. It's a pipe, the perforated pipes. They lay it on the ground. They now put a geotextile kind of a cloth to cover it using chippings and sharp sand, because sharp sand absorbs water very well. Then when we saw those things, we do supposition that they should lay it by intervals, 25 meters intervals on the road. Then they will cross it across the carriageway to the drainage. Then once the water now comes up, it goes inside the geotester, which is the pipe, now move out to the drainages. So there will be a whip hose on the drains.
For water passage. So that place will never
depress. Then we now introduce a hard core. The now hard core has to carry the maybe tire pressure from the vehicles. Then when we now lay it, compile, then we now borrow our materials, then build our asphalt. Now if you go around that, you find out that place is very, very okay now. So those are the things. And that was why I say scope.
It's not like we don't know what to do, but we don't have the willpower. We even have the capacity. I wanted to say capacity. No, we have capacity, but why don't we do the right things?
That's why I say scope. In that project, scope of work of that project, those things you are being incorporated in the scope. So as you are doing the job, because you meet it in the whole stretch.
So when you say scope now, who is supposed to bring in the scope? Is it the contractor or the person that's the client?
The scope, or let me come in.
So if I want you to build a route for me from this point to that point, I will give you the specification. Is that what you call scope?
That's what we call everything I managed from design. Remember, I started from there before you digressed. Okay. When we now, every particular design has its own specification. Specification means how this job is supposed to be done, whether it is a building construction or reconstruction. Okay? What is supposed to be, you know the way around, the entire makeup of that particular work scope. Like I already said, maybe constructing a road without a drainage. Or the drainage was provided and the contractor, just like a playing smart, maybe the supervisors will come there, give them something, say he's a loaded steerer, it doesn't matter what this is, then they will just collect the money and overlook the whole system. Along the line, you see the problem. So now in Nigeria, especially in Anambra, but thank God, our own governor is a professor, he's trying so much, and we have been to the Minister of Works, and we have interacted with him, and the young man, Engineer Okoma, okay? In fact, he's passing sleepers in but you know that in the hot seat, Anambra State, we don't have a road. And then as right is, if you construct a road today, and within the next 1 year, everything has gone wrong, which means I've not done a good work.
Yeah, I've not even done any work at all.
I was just coming from Navy, and I passed this mobile purpose. I see there's one spot, towards that civic center, stuff like that. I saw the sign, I did not read the name of it, but what drew my attention was, I said, this road, was designed to last for 20 years. That's what drew my attention. Okay? Which means the design, the specification is done very well, both the thickness of everything to make sure that the road lasts for 10 years. 20 years. When I zoom in, within 2 years or 3 years, it fell. It means that something must be wrong.
That's always something wrong.
Something is wrong is what we try to trash us because number one.
You have labeled it corruption.
Yes, no, but
when the person that's supposed to supervise, to oversee the work, to ensure that everything is put in place, is bribed to shut up and shut eyes. So what do you expect from the contractor?
And everybody wants to cut corners.
That is just
the contractor wants to do his work and make gain.
I agree with you to cut corners.
So
because if I am going to supervise you and I say no cutting of corners, I will work according to specification. And you want to bribe me, I say no, don't bribe me, do what you are wanted to do. So nobody has cut any corner, and we'll get exactly what we want. Let's prefer solution. What do we do? What do we to get out of this?
In Nigeria, you have, in fact, it seems like corruption has taken over everywhere. Because to fight over this, it is not easy at all, most especially in construction. So, and for me as a civil engineer, I have tried my best to make sure that any project that I am in, I always try my best to make sure that the contractor do the right thing. There was one issue I have when I was in local job projects, the same RCC project. So we are doing a culvert and bridges. It's a very long stretch of drainages, around 105 kilometer road. So in the process, drains we are having issue with the strength of the drains. It was failing in the lab after testing. We have 28 days, we have 7 days when you cure the material in the lab. So I have to call my supervisor and say, we're having issue in this place. the materials are failing. After 7 days, the concrete is failing. What can we do? I have to call the chief lab of the contractor. Please, what can we do to this issue? Because this is a very long stretch, about 2 kilometers. And you know, in construction, there's no way you say that they should stop work. Because once they are working, they have to take the sample to the lab. And it will take some time, 7 days, 8 days, which is 1 month. And they can't stop work after you might have done the test. So they keep on working.
So in essence, what's the solution to that kind of problem?
Now, we did a trial test. I have to make provision for trial tests. They should do 2 trials on the cements. They should check the cement, check the admixture they are using, being the chemical they are using for the batching plants. So when they are doing the trial means, there was one test they call mortar test to check the strength of the cement. To know whether cement they are.
Where do you go to check all these things? Is a construction firm supposed to have all this in place?
Okay. They have to have
quality control lab.
People have to have an independent lab for themselves. They have to be checking themselves.
Okay.
From time to time.
What about the Ministry of Work? Do they supposed to have their own too, to ensure that what you say you have done in your own is exactly what you're putting out?
They have PEU. In fairness, they have PEU. If they are having such issue, maybe the contractor is not saying that.
What is PEU?
PEU, pavement evaluation unit.
Oh.
If they say, let's say, the contractor say that the material passes, then the ministry said no, it does not pass. Then they will not take the sample, or maybe the consultant said no. They have to take the sample to PEU.
They are winning awarded jobs. They don't have these facilities, and they still give them contracts.
That's why JP.
You wanted to say something before we take a break?
I think we're on prevention. Or is it after the break? Prevention.
Solution.
Oh, yeah, prevention, solution, and prevention.
It's the same thing. You know what to do and then prevent it. It's the solution.
Now, generally, Anambra State, as at now, the bad roads we have are more than the good ones. Not that we don't have good ones, but especially the governor is trying to, since he came here last year, there are some rules I really do. But let us start, first of all, when you do a road properly designed and properly awarded, definitely the contractor that is having that job, if he's ordinary contractor, which means not an engineer, which is what is mainly obtainable, you know, in most states of Nigeria now, the contractor must make sure that he has or he procure a qualified registered engineer who is an expert in that particular aspect of work, whether building or road. Now, the government itself, through the ministry, they have the supervising ministry, they have the engineers that normally go there and monitor what is happening. But they find out that because maybe by the time I finish, if all these things are in place, why is it? Why is it? Where are we still where we are? Now, if the road starts failing, let's say it has already been constructed, as already, you have a little pothole. The government should try as much as possible, be very, very proactive. See what you are. Okay, you can see what you are seeing in the screen. See what you are seeing in the screen. That particular road failure, that particular road cutting did not even start overnight. It started just like very little something, and because of negligence. Because definitely once water erosion permeates under a subgrade or a soil that is very, very porous, whose environmental impact assessment is very, very poor. Give it every day, it will continue degrading until it gets too poor.
Okay, so
Now, okay, one break.
I have to cut to short here, so for us to take this break because our time is almost off. Let's bring in this street walk before we go, please.
Anambra Broadcasting Service, ABS. With delight, we bring you the light that we bear through our illustrious leaders. Our icons.
A lot of things causes building collapse. One, bad design. bad tests. What I mean by bad tests is like there are some places that some particular structure cannot stand on. Like then some people don't take recognizance of tests. So that is just an example of what causes building collapse. If you don't do a test, you don't actually know what that particular place you are building on has been used before. So you cannot just venture into building. So in fact I think that is the main thing. If you do your test very well, and so competent personnel.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It is still Good Morning Anambra. And just in this segment alone, we have looked at preventing building and road failures in Anambra State, ensuring infrastructural sustainability in public amenities. That's exactly what we talked about this morning. And I'm sure that you must have taken a whole lot of things home. One thing is certain, if things are not working, we know why it is not working. So it's just that perhaps we don't want to talk about it. So but until we muster the courage and then the political power or will to say things the way they are, I think we'll have a problem. Okay, thank you very much for coming today. Hi, Chief Alice Ifa Wazi, FNSC, Chairman, Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers, NICA, Orca Branch. Thank you very much for coming today, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
Okay. And then I also want to thank you for coming, Engineer Uche Dan Nze, a highway engineer. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay. And that's how it's been. This kind of problem is a nagging one. We won't ever finish talking about it. So some other time, we're going to bring these engineers back to open our eyes more on what to do to ensure we have structures in the state. My name is Ijoma.
Ijoma, we appreciate that because that's why we're civil engineers here in Oka.
A lot of things causes building collapse. One, bad design, bad tests. What I mean by bad tests is like there are some places that some particular structure cannot stand on. Like then some people don't take recognizance of tests. So that is just an example of what causes building collapse. If you don't do a test, you don't actually know what that particular place you are building on has been used before. So you cannot just venture into building. So that is in fact I think that is the main thing. If you do your test very well, and so competent personnel also can also reduce the way building collapses.
Fake materials are used for road construction. Government's inability of bringing out funds to really work on the roads. I also feel there are some little things that matters as well that could also aid in the prolongment of roads, even though they are built with fake materials. Like if there's any little pothole, I feel that they should try as much as possible and early enough to fill in the potholes. And also, there can also be a way to have a gutter outlet for the roads, whereby you don't have water logged on the roads and all that, because that as well can lead to road failure.
In terms of road construction, a lot of things causes road construction. Number one, the earthwork. Earthwork is the main thing that we need in road construction. Earthwork is a construction process where which we import and export laterite. We export unsuitable. That's if we want to build a road now, there is an existing soil surface that we take off. Then we import from what we call a borrow pit, somewhere that there is laterite. That's where you see vehicles bringing in laterite from outside the site. So when the earthwork is not properly done, you see that some places fail. You see some places having potholes, while some places are good. That particular thing is telling us that the earthwork that was done in that place was not properly done. Like the person just did mago, and that is where most engineers try to cut corners or cut costs. They don't do their earthwork very well. And earthwork road does not fail due to maybe the concrete was not actually mixed well, or the asphalt was not mixed well. It is the earthwork.
Most people, they build without carrying out soil texture. So they don't know the capacity of the ground, whether it can carry one-story building, two or three-story building. And sometimes, even when some government officials come to site, they bribe them. They don't actually carry out the tests. So that is one of the reasons that it causes building collapse.